All right, it's 6:32 by my clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Before we begin, we have a really full agenda tonight, so if you can keep your questions and comments to the point, that would be greatly appreciated. First up, modifications and changes. Any modifications or changes to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing no hands raised, I will move on to review and approval for minutes December 14th and the special meeting January 4th, 2022. If everyone had a chance to look those over and didn't find any errors, I will hear a motion to accept them.
Move we accept.
Second.
Sandy with the first, Eli with the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right, minutes approved. Next up, law enforcement discussion with Sheriff Longeman. Evening, Roger.
Hey, good evening, guys. Happy to be here.
Sam, specifically, what I'm going to address is I got the data from Gary Denton on Orchard Street and also on Water Tower Road. There's not a bad time to be running radar on any of those roads. The new data hasn't really revealed anything that isn't different from the last meeting that we had where we discussed this. Drive times are when the heaviest traffic is. The speeds, depending on how well you want to control, say Orchard Street, close to 25 or, when I did that little detail up there one day, I was at 45 and 50 and I was busy enough hammering those cars that were twice the speed limit. And if you remember, I had one at 71 miles an hour on Orchard Street that morning. Surprised them. I got up at like 4 o'clock. I was out there by 4:30. Pretty much the comment was I didn't expect to find any police out there at that hour. But, for us, Sam, to get out there and do more patrols, we're experiencing what a lot of organizations are right now as far as manpower. I've got 2 deputies that are out on long-term disability. They're on light duty right now. We had 2 last week with COVID. We got 2 that are out this week. I'm suspecting COVID as well. So I'd like to tell you that I want to get some governor's highway safety monies out there to be able to really go out and bang traffic like we did once earlier but in the fall. But right now we're just taking care of servicing our contracts that we have. Not doing any extra details. I haven't committed to any governor's highway safety details. We didn't do many ATV patrols this year. And we're not planning on doing much for snowmobiles or stone garden. We're looking to trying to keep the health of our organization right now and keeping people on the road doing their thing. So I don't know what you guys would have for questions of us or anything I can answer.
Have you noticed any trends of traffic slowing ever since we put those radar signs in?
I think it has. There's a difference between the last one that I saw and the and this one here. We're not seeing nearly as many at say 45 to 50. During the drive time, you got 11 cars that went by that were 45 to 50 miles an hour. The previous one was far greater than that. And if you look at any of the averages like 57 to 62 or 63 to 68, they're all zeros. We had a few high flyers in there in the high 60s and the low 70s. You're not seeing that on this chart. So I do think it's helping. Some people just need a reminder, and I think it works for some people. You're still on average, I'd say between 33 and 38 miles an hour is where the average speed is on that road. 39 to 44, you start seeing it creep up quite a bit. But then it drops down 45 to 50. Like I'm only showing like in the hours I would suggest between 6 in the morning and 8 in the morning, 11 cars that were 45 to 50 miles an hour. And if I was going to target that area right now, those are the ones I'd look at and start trying to work my way down. Once I was successful there, get down to the 38 to 44 miles per hour. But I think it is making a difference. I wish we were out there more. I'd love to commit to be out there more, but right now we're just trying to keep our workforce healthy. We've got a couple of them that have COVID concerns because they have young kids at home. We just had another deputy become a father, and he's out on parental leave. So I also have concerns for them, especially with the Omicron that's out there right now. That's even more highly contagious. So like I said, we're not pushing the envelope too much yet. But I think in this spring, when we get a little healthier, hopefully down the road from COVID, we can pick up some more of these additional details to really help curb the speeding there. And it's not just in Enosburg, Sam. I get it complaints in every town in Franklin County. I see it statewide when Sheriff's Association meetings, speed is up, and statewide the fatalities are up, and the number one cause of these crashes are speed. It's all speed related. But all of our organizations are in the same boat. State police is pretty short. I talk with them on a pretty regular basis. He's always concerned about what's my manpower. I'm always concerned about what's his manpower, because we work some things together. So we're trying to combine our forces when we can, and keep our guys on the road.
Okay, well, thank you for that recap. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a
All right, Roger,
question.
thank you very much. Heather's got-
Sam, I have a
Heather's got
question. Yeah.
Heather?
Delay. Sheriff Lunchman, are there any other tactics that you think that we should be thinking of that could help, that's not just the speed sign or relying on law enforcement to pull people over?
There's other opportunities out there. I know there's some speed bumps that they put out in the road, but those become some maintenance nightmares. I know St. Albans City had tried some gouging the roadways. They put these little trenches in. But what they found is when construction vehicles went by and they had trailers with either debris inside or their equipment inside, it would rattle along those bumps pretty aggressively. I think what Enosburg has done, and I also commented with Charlie Hancock's up in Montgomery, and they have done the same thing. They've gotten those speed devices, and he thinks it's helped tremendously. I think those are a good start. And I just think simple enforcement, visibility on our part is a big deal. Even when I'm driving my personal vehicle, I'm up on the interstate and I see a trooper in a U-turn or a police officer on Route 7 somewhere. I mean, the first thing I do is I get my foot off the gas and I'm on the brake, and I'm not even, speeding, or I'm not enough over where I'm going to get any concern from them. And visibility means a lot. And I think those signs help out a lot too, when they flash and remind people.
You heard of any and this kind of brings me back to a conversation from maybe a year ago, because I know some communities have done this, but community dialogue to kind of support each other or talk each other through about it's important that we lower our speeds.
Yeah, I think it's a national epidemic. I don't know how much talking will do. I've had some parents call me, their kids getting a 4-point ticket or a 5-point ticket. Is there anything we can do? And it's like, yeah, if the parent's willing to come in and have a discussion with me, we've discussed some things, and we've tried to be proactive. I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I'd want them to abide by the speed laws. I don't want them getting into crashes. I lost a brother in '86 to a car crash on Route 105. So I know what it's like, and I don't want to see that happen. So if I can work with a family, the dialogue you're speaking of I'm all for it. And I've done it probably, last year, maybe 8, 10, 12 times, worked with families, and we worked on a ticket, we reduced it, or we held the ticket for a while to see if the kid's going to get any more speeding tickets, that type of thing. We don't want to, our goal isn't to have people become suspended licenses. We just to gain compliance with the speed laws is what we're looking for. So any suggestions people have, we listen.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks again for joining us, Roger.
Thank you, Sam. Good seeing you. Stay safe.
Good night. Good night. All right, up next we have welcome signs with Dave Trihorn. Evening, Dave.
Thanks, Sam. The last time I was at one of your meetings, you folks were so gracious as to support us with our community signs for funding 2 of them. And I told you that I was going to go to the Board of Select, the Select Board and propose the same thing. So we did that, and we had a positive response there also. So they agreed to cover the expense for 2 of the signs. So that takes care of the 4 signs that we're looking at. Now, I don't know if you have in your package, but I did send to John kind of an updated version, actually a number of drafts of signs.
We have it.
And really the only difference in this sign is that when you look at the wording on the bottom, the first signs was basically the wording was the Village of Enosburg Falls. And since we are going to the town, we felt that we had to do something to bring recognition to the town also. So the second line now says in the town of Enosburg, Enosburg with an H. The town seemed to be happy with that. One other thing that's going to change is that the established in 1780 is going to be removed. And most likely there'll be no date at all on the sign. One other thing that's of interest is that when I proposed this to the select board, they basically kind of all broke out in a smile and said, gosh, I wonder how this happened, because we've just been discussing signs. So something that they want to do, I don't know if it's going to happen, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but they would like to put signs up on the town borders. So that's something that may come up in the future. Basically it'd be a sign that lets people know that they are entering the town of Enosburg. So that's about what I have.
So are you for sure gonna pick one of these 4 designs? You're gonna maintain both the lines, the Village of Enosburg and the town?
I think that part I think is pretty well fixed. The date's gonna come off. And what I can see is, I think it was very important on the first sign, we had a line in there that basically stated that this was the home of the Vermont Dairy Festival. And that probably will be there also, but it may not be on this sign. It may be on a board directly under this sign. So that's our thought. That's our thought at this time.
And the font may change.
And the font may change slightly.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna read, welcome to the Village of Enosburg Falls anymore? It's gonna include the town?
It'll include the town,
Village,
the village and the town.
Go ahead.
What is going to be the physical distance between these signs that say welcome to the village and the town and the signs that the town wants to do that say you're coming to town?
I believe
How,
there's only one of them that's going to be close. And that's going to be the one going out of town on 105 towards St. Albans.
I think that would probably be an appropriate place for one of the, I don't wanna, how do I word this here? I'm not a huge fan of this layout, like, I don't know, I feel like it's taking away from entering into the village, you know what I mean? If the town wants to have signs on their borders, that's fine. But I think the village should have just a village sign for their border.
I think what Dave was getting at was to get the town to assist in paying for a couple of signs too.
Yeah, right.
Is what the issue is.
Basically, we need we need community. We need to make it a community effort. So, and that's right. In order to satisfy the town, we need to have a mention of the town. So basically, that's what that's all about.
And if somebody's coming in from out of town, never been here before, they might think they're two entirely separate entities if they're two different signs.
Without
They-
one on the other.
Right.
I think you should merge.
You
Can't
got my,
you just do that?
you got my
Save
vote.
all the state.
This is a complicated, this whole thing is a complicated situation. Yeah,
I have a solution,
go ahead.
Merging?
merge, number one. Number two is, on a very positive note, the EFEDC checking account is heavy by $2,500, which was a grant that came through the Wright Family Farm process that they got through their larger dairy association. And it was donated to the area for signage, tourism, etc. So we have $2,500 there. Dave, I think all the work you've done is great. I appreciate Sam's comment and wonder if there shouldn't be a re-engineering that goes back to one of your original designs. We throw that money in, work the money out. It shouldn't be the issue. And we create borders at the town, border signs at the town, and border signs in the village. So it says entering the town of Enosburg, you know, the tested town limits of Enosburg, and then welcome to the village of Enosburg Falls.
Yep.
The money's there. That you spoke about the town. I'm looking up at the screen pretty funny. Huh? Dave, I'm looking up at your screen. The you in the dialogue you've had with the town, I'm sure you mentioned that they wanted markers at the town border, you know, when they're coming in at the 4 roads or whatever. I think you've done the lion's share of the work and just take what you have and just manipulate a little bit, and then everybody, I think, gets what they want with not money being the issue.
Well, that's with the extra $2,500, that does take that whole, but
Takes
we're
money.
paying half right out of the equation.
Yeah.
And Angela brought that up at our, we had a very energetic EI meeting last week, and Angela brought that up again, and reminded us that that was there.
Yeah, if we,
How much
If
fees
we-
for these?
1,600.
16?
it doesn't quite cover the two of them, but I mean, it's close. And it simplifies the whole thing big time.
Yeah, that would be a much better option, I think.
I could go on that side for sure.
Yeah,
Use the same font, use the same, you know.
yeah, and we could do
Not
the
all the design stuff.
established 1780 for the town and the 1860.
86.
Yeah,
Jumping back on the horse.
I was really disappointed when I thought we had to eliminate the date. Because I think the date adds a lot. And
It's much better with the date.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I like the original sign better actually myself.
Yeah, so Dave, what are we thinking now? Do you think that's the avenue that we want to pursue? Having two separate signs,
That-
one for the town, one for the village?
Okay, now wait, now, as far as I'm concerned, that the issue of the town signs, that was brought up by the select board. So I believe that it's their intention to do their signs. So the town, I believe the town is going to do their boundary signs. And I don't know what they're going to come up with, but to me, you know, it's not going to be a large sign like this. It's going to be a small sign that you often see when you're entering a town. It just basically says you're entering, Enosburg. Enosburg town. Yeah. I mean,
Ward, did you have a comment?
You're muted. You're muted, Ward.
Yeah, I'm one of
There you
the
go.
There you go.
new, I'm one of the few Economic Development Board members, and I hadn't heard the way Jim packaged all of this, but have followed the conversation. I just wanted to add my support for the idea that Jim shared and using the money that's now held by the Development Corporation. Beyond that, I think it would be important that both boards decide what their sign's going to look like, and you all look at it together and decide what they say together and where they're going to go. So that otherwise we could end up in conflicts with one ends up in the ground here and one ends up in the ground there. It'd be good to sort. There's enough tension already. I would suggest we put a little more on David to make sure everybody's in agreement before we close it off on one side or the other.
Thanks, Ward. I'm gonna have to make several dates with the select board, the Lions Club, and the trustees, so
I would be happy to come along with you as much as you need me.
we'll keep at it. We can't dig holes until spring really anyway, so.
Okay.
Well, we really appreciate everything you're doing, Dave.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
So if we got the
Okay.
2,500 from Jim, what difference would we be looking at to make up to buy the 4 signs ourselves?
The estimate that I have, and I have to say that it's strictly an estimate, is basically 1,700 apiece. So, you know, if you use the 2,500 for 2 of them, it's the difference between 25 and 34.
Okay,
Yeah, it would be just under $3,300 for us to pay
so
2 out
we're,
of the 4. So you're looking like, it'd be about $700-800 short in theory, unless we adjust our budget.
That can be adjusted.
all right, that's minor.
Angela and Dean will, you know, have to, absolutely, it's their money. We're
Right.
holding it for them because that'd be helpful. I think it's fair to say they would be happy to see some sign work move ahead and put their money into the kitty. Half of the town, half of the village don't care, but that's what I believe. And I'll speak to Angela and Dean to do my piece, just to haven't sent an email out to everybody, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I'm sure we can figure out the remainder. It's not. Make the big
I think we can scrape up.
Yeah.
We'll find it somewhere.
$700.
Look under the chairs.
Okay, I guess we got a new set of directions now. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, is John there?
Now, he's out tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we have 2022 preliminary budget up versus wastewater department.
Brian, did you bring a copy, or I brought you a paper?
What's going on tonight, Brian?
How are you?
Not too bad. A little cold earlier, but better now.
All right. Nothing too major and crazy exciting with the wastewater budget in comparison to last meeting. We are projecting a slight deficit. It's gonna be, the change in fund for cash at the end is just under $11,000. Thankfully, the sewer department is financially cash flow fine, where we can use operating reserves, so this deficit really is nothing in the grand scheme of everything for the sewer department. Some of these numbers, again, still waiting for the final depreciation schedule, so I just have an estimate in there based off of the previous year. No major additions or changes.
No big projects next year.
We do have
One
some capital projects. Go
Potential
ahead.
big project
Yeah.
is sort of reconfiguring the Westbrook station, which is the one that sits in the gully just past Leach's.
Yep.
That was designed to take in most of Water Tower Road, as well as what it does now. That was redirected in the 80s, so now it holds basically 3 households. It's old equipment, hard to get parts, very expensive if you can get them. So Aldrich and Elliott's in the process of doing an engineering study to turn that more into a compact, more like a grinder pump station like we have across the road. Something of that notion. That's gonna come probably around 100,000 roughly.
We have the savings to cover that, so that's, you're seeing it listed here, but that would be funded entirely with with the savings account.
And that was addressed in our engineering evaluation that was done last year. And there's also some safety concerns. We basically have to access that every day just to make sure it's turning and burning. And coming in and out of there is very hazardous.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I wish we could eliminate it entirely. But in hopes of maybe taking that down and maybe accessing it once a week. So there is some personal safety involved there as well.
Is there some sort of like remote monitoring, something that can be installed?
The alarm system that's current is actually not functioning, so that's why we have to check it daily. And we've had a couple different people look at it and they can't troubleshoot it. So basically, an updated one would have an alarm system.
Right, that's what I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah. So that's our big project, and that was again addressed in the 2020 engineering eval.
Yeah, this is all part of the capital plan that A&E has put together. I think it was about a 3 or 5 year plan, I
5
think,
year,
that I
yeah.
read.
And this is, we did the reconstruction of the clarifiers, which is a pretty good project, and then there's this one, and hopefully we'll slide into some smaller projects for the last 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
This is also the current budget as far as the revenue size is with not having a rate increase. The increase in the wastewater assessment is just with Tractor Supply. Their allocations are coming due June or July of
Sometime at the end of
2022.
summer.
Yeah, so sometime mid-year, which is significant chunk of change, so that's why there's the increase in the wastewater assessment.
That's at 2997 times 5.5.
Correct. Yep, they're looking at 5.5 allocations. And that'll be true on the water side as well, obviously just a different rate.
Are they gonna require a lot of supplies to hook into the sewer line, or is that all?
No, it's actually gonna be a pretty easy tie-in, because there's a trunk line that runs right through that field. So it's gonna be a short, I think it's like an 8 or 10 foot tie-in.
Perfect.
It shouldn't affect our sewer line whatsoever. That was a issue that we had when we knew they were coming in, making sure that they were gonna be able to put a footprint in there without having to move the sewer line. They've been pretty accommodating.
Awesome. That's low cost too.
Yep. They'll incur all the costs of tie-in, won't be anything on our part.
Even better.
Yeah.
All right, and then what are we waiting on to finalize this? Just
The depreciation and also the telephone line item might change. That'll be next meeting's discussion. Lori has been working on some quotes, looking at upgrading the phone system. I won't dive into it in too much detail tonight. She's preparing a memo. We'll have a lot more information for you on that, so that could look to change. And then just the depreciation is the biggest thing at this point in time.
Okay. Well, as usual, the wastewater seems good and tight.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on those?
It seems to flow along quite nicely.
That's the hopes of it.
Let's keep it that way.
All right. Well, thank
Not
you,
like
Ryan.
unhappy meetings.
Shall we dive into the water department then?
I have actually an
You guys
updated.
all set?
I think so, yeah. Thank you.
Did everybody get that, dive into the water system? This is just going
No,
on
no
and
pun
on and on.
intended.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys.
We'll be here all night, Jim.
Funnest thing I've done all day.
I'm gonna give you an updated copy. The fluoride numbers have changed drastically since what we originally put into the binder. And I'll let Gary speak to that here in a minute.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Heather, I apologize, I forgot to email you one ahead of time, but I will email you an updated copy. It's just the fluoride number that has changed.
Okay, thanks.
Gary's with us tonight, right?
He is on
Yeah, I'm
there.
right here, man.
So what's going on with the fluoride?
So the fluoride, this summer we were paying $69.95 a bag for 40 pounds. And the last delivery I got was $108 a bag. So this week we ordered some more and now it's $106 a bag. And a bag lasts about 20, 25 days depending on water usage. So we had to up our budget. It's basically a chain of delivery chain from China. I did call the state. We're gonna see if they can find another supplier somewhere, maybe find a lower price. But right now, I'm just figuring out $160 a bag for now. And I figured 13 bags, that's where our new number is.
For that 13 for the whole next year?
Yeah, that's 13 bags the whole year. Roughs about, I think 20, 25 days for a bag, depending on water usage. And our water usage varies. Lately, it's been down between 130 and 180,000 gallons a day. This summer, we're running 200, 180. It depends. We usually average between 5 and 6 million gallons a month worth of water production.
Yeah, that's quite the increase for sure.
The rest of the budget, I kept pretty close. I mean, I did do a little bit of inflation for some of the chlorine and stuff, and we did knock down the well maintenance this year, because we're not doing redevelopment, so that we knocked that down, because that's usually around 21,000. We knocked that down just about that 10 or 12, just in case something happens.
2022 is the
Money
off
in case
year
the
for
well
that.
water goes down or a BFD. The rest of that is other stuff I can't have no control over. That's the stuff that I can control.
Right.
Again,
We weren't that far over budget. I don't think, we had the money in our savings anyways, right?
to cover the deficit?
We were, yeah.
Yes, yep. Again, it's kind of similar to the wastewater. There's enough in the operating reserve for the water fund and the savings account that they're showing just under $10,000 deficit with the change in cash at the end, and between what's in the operating account and savings account, that's pennies, unfortunately, for this fund as well.
Right. How much is in the operating account right now?
Believe just ended at 150, 160. There's not a lot of huge expenses that come out of there though. And then they have a healthy savings account, I believe about 35,000.
So we're good for a bit.
Yes, there's no real major projects. There is the engineering for the Westbrook Shear Road line upgrade, which is where we've had, that's been, I believe, Gary, that's been our biggest problem this year for water breaks, has been on Westbrook Shear Road.
Yeah.
So the engineering.
It's about 1,000.
Go ahead.
It's about 1,000 feet, Sam, of 2-inch galvanized. It starts about, just about from a guy Grove's house and going all the way up to, the old cattle place there. I'm not, they used to sell cattle. I can't remember the name of the person owned that, but it goes up that far.
Yep.
Who's that?
Where Chris Harrington used to live.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 feet, but,
What do
me and
you,
Elliot think we maybe get some federal funding because they consider galvanized the same category as lead. They want to get lead out of the water system, so we may get some financial aid once this does happen.
With the ARPA funds and the new infrastructure bill, Wayne Elliott is all over it for us, thankfully, and there's some stuff coming up that we'll be reviewing that might help offset that cost up there. So that's in the works for that, to see if we can do that to get funding.
they'll cover replacement this time, not just new infrastructure?
Yeah, it depends on which pot of money that we look at with it, but Wayne is looking into all avenues for us to see what there is, or even if it's on a state level, what funding we can have, because like Gary said, the galvanized, they're linking that in with lead as well, so there's more funding available to upgrade that line.
So we're not counting on budgeting any money for that project, that we're counting on it being completely funded?
Right, right now we're just getting an engineering study to find out what it would cost and all that kind of stuff.
Are we planning on that being 2022 anyway, or is that next year?
No, I mean the engineering?
Well, by the time the engineering comes back and we're ready to break ground, probably be next year.
Yeah, we won't be doing we won't do any water lines this year.
So the email that I have from Wayne that Gary forwarded to me is that starting in February, and he's putting us on the priority list for drinking water. With the latest infrastructure bill, there's going to be a lot of funding available. We continue to learn about the details, and they're looking at a 50% subsidy, a loan forgiveness, and also subsidy for lead, which this qualifies. So hopefully by the end of February, we'll know a little bit more as far as what funding's available and what we qualify for that line upgrade.
Did you budget in any of Tractor
Okay,
Supply's
things,
projected usage or just the allocation?
Not yet, because they're, John and I had that discussion and we didn't wastewater. We just did the allocations because right now they're not projected to open until October.
Okay.
So we kind of figured it's a little bit of a wash for 2022. 2023, we'll have a better idea and be able to budget in what their usage is going to look like. But we figured with it just being the last quarter of 2022, it wasn't kind of worth the effort to determine that until they were up and running. So 2023, we'll see the full impact of that.
Perfect. You have something to say, Gary?
I'm just saying the 2-inch line on the water tower, West Berkshire's, it only serves about 9 houses, and so it's not like a real priority, but it needs to be fixed.
Right.
Yeah, it was, like I said, all our issues this year.
That's good. At least there were no issues on Main Street this year.
Yeah, Main and Pearl again, twice.
Quiet, shush.
Knock on wood on that one, Gary.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions on water? I guess we'll just sit tight and wait for some other figures on that.
Yeah, this
Same with
also
wastewater.
just includes your legal expenses because of the Reservoir Road property. That's significantly higher than normal. Repairs and equipment, Gary included an LMI pump replacement because it's such a long lead time and we don't have a backup that if something happened there. But those are really the biggest changes. Again, like the sewer telephone expense may change depending on what the board decides at our next meeting. But other than that, I would say water's
Looking good.
pretty good where it's at.
That's what we like to hear.
I know these were the 2 easy ones,
Right, yeah.
not last meeting.
No, general and electric are always
Then somebody got to
the
miss.
kickers.
You didn't want me here, I assure you.
Okay, while we're on budget, just a quick question. Did
Yep.
did Dave call in on that digger truck? Or yeah, digger truck?
I haven't heard the status of that. I am meeting with him tomorrow regarding something else. I can make a note to get an update and send you guys an email
I think he was
as to where
supposed
that's
to check
at.
in the next.
Yeah,
week
he
or
was supposed to
He
see.
found a possible used one and was gonna call the
two. See if it was see if they still had it.
Okay, I will touch base with him and then I will send you guys an email tomorrow as to where that's at.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Let's move on to American Legion Post 42 request for banners on
We
Depot Street.
are pretty ahead of schedule. I don't believe they were advised to be here until like 7:45.
Okay, that's fine.
So we
We
might
can-
have to jump around a little bit.
Yep,
just
that's
because-
fine. We'll move into Vermont Department of Housing and Community Development Downtown Transportation Fund Grant Application Vital Village Engineering Discussion. Is that you? All right, what do you got?
The town and the village worked together to get the first phase of the downtown rework done. They supported the second phase of that to happen, which was the quote-unquote scoping study. The next step is the actual engineering. Last week, I had a phone call with Greta this afternoon, or this morning, this afternoon, we had a follow-up meeting with her to actually go out and do some research for us to come back and educate us about what the possibilities were and what could happen next. And that was sparked by that grant that I received that I forwarded on to Jonathan, which said, is this got some help for us for Vital Village?
There is not to cut you off, Jim, I apologize. There is an email in there that kind of talks in your packet about that grant, because the application deadline is March 7th. Sorry for interrupting.
Yep, no problem. So after our discussion with Greta today, our volunteer group wanted to move ahead this way. We want to bring this to your attention and put it out on the table. We're not, that's what this is about. It's not having it die. Okay? So after we heard Greta's information, after she spoke with the person who manages that particular grant, and we looked into the future, here's what we think is what we'd like to do. we're gonna have a meeting next Thursday as a whole group when we have the final information from Greta. I just actually got some now. Two things is we would like to try to pursue that grant, but for a piece of the Vital Village project, which is the Dickinson Avenue intersection. If you
For
do
pedestrian
remember,
traffic? For pedestrian traffic?
correct, yeah, traffic calming, some planters, changing this, changing that. We think that's reasonably possible to do that, and that's something that grant would fund because we've done the first two steps. We don't have the budget for the whole thing, so trying to apply for it now doesn't really help us. I mean, it does, we can do it, but we're not likely to get it is really the point. Whereas there was a favorable sense that if we applied for that limited piece that was done, we could get that. So Greta's out helping us, getting some preliminary pricing on that, talking to Du Bois and King's for us. The next step that we would want to bring to your attention and then look for your support, and that is that we'd like to be able to apply for the construction phase of that project this spring. There's a grant that comes out, which is the next bike pedestrian grant cycle, which we've already gotten twice, funded those first two elements. That's the next time it comes out. And that's an opportunity for us to apply for the money to do the final design.
So it must be if you want the one the first two, the third, you know,
Might
might as well see the project through, right?
It's the way we've been operating for 3 or 4 years, both practically but also wonderfully, and that is people have listened to us, we follow through on everything we've asked to do. You know, we haven't dropped the ball. You know, we've done whatever we said we were gonna do, we're gonna do it. So, I'm happy to have a larger discussion. There may be other people up there on the screen that might wanna speak about it, but tonight's part of the agenda would be to say to you folks, hey, we think we wanna move ahead on that. Greta is gonna let us know how much she can or can't help us next Thursday, and that'll tell us what we need. She estimated it would take someone 20 hours to write the grant. We've got a bunch of thoughts about that we'll bring back here. If we ask you for any money, we'll bring that back here. We certainly can't apply for that grant without you voting for it. You know what I'm saying? It's not something we can just go do. What we're trying to do is the background to get it to come to you to be able to make it work. No, that's really, Sandy was on the call today, and so that's what we're trying to do. And we'll know by next Thursday, so I would ask that we could have a small opportunity on the next board meeting that you have to just say, here's what we think, and here's more information, and pictures, and
So specifically for the Dickinson Avenue, or the Dickinson Street
Yep.
intersection.
correct.
We have a scoping study on that already with options on what to do. We never approved an option though, right? And so that would still need to be brought up to the public. And
I'm shaking my head a lot for those people up there because I'm communicating, but the answer to your questions are all yes. We have 4 options. We found out today that it also hadn't been priced out. So Greta's going back. When I say she, that's Greta. Greta's going to go back and get us pricing on that. I volunteered to go talk with Sean Tigg because some of those options affect his input. So I'm going to try to get to him between now and next Thursday and say, you know, are you okay with any of these? You don't like any of these?
And I believe you guys did vote
Did you
on
get
an
my email?
alternative with some modifications, which Du Bois and King was going to do once you got into the engineering phase, but I believe you guys voted for alternative number 3 with some components of number 2.
Right, I don't remember that including the intersection of Dickinson though. I
Right,
think
that
that
was
was a
just
separate,
Street.
separate phase.
Okay.
Because Depot was a separate phase as
That's
well.
right, okay. so I
Dickinson
missed
is the
too.
quick build and the
Yeah.
traditional and not so traditional, and did you get my email today?
Yeah, I think including Sean would be a good idea on that too, because some of those options, like closing off that middle
Yep.
entryway or whatever, you would
Yeah,
definitely need to be
pretty much
involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those options included that, some didn't. So obviously, if the property owner says he doesn't want to do it, we can't make that happen. That's why we're going to go talk to him and see what we can do.
Awesome.
So try to get into that.
Yeah, we can put you on for next agenda.
Yeah, that's just again to come back, tell you what we plan on doing.
Sounds
I think-
good.
I think on that one, we're just really looking for your support. I'm not sure we have our hand out yet at all. Just looking for you to say, yeah, if you work towards that end and here's your outline, we'll vote yes and let's, turn the grant in.
Right, what's the match on that again?
I don't know. It may be in an email I have already, but I just don't know. Before it was pretty small.
I think it's about
20?
20%.
Yeah, it must be
like.
20. And that's only if it's awarded anyway.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes out late summer. In other words, if we apply for that one now, we would know, oh no, that was the other grant. My guess is
Early.
3-4 months later, when's it come out?
Application deadline is March 7th. Award
April
decisions are
25th.
April 25th.
There you go. And you can take it or not take it, but, you know. I'm obviously gonna, I think you folks are in the same place, and as we apply, we get it, great. We don't get it, we don't have to make any decisions to make, but we get it, then we can make decisions, right? If you got the opportunity, then you can do something. But at least try to find out.
Also budget, sorry, Jim, budget wise, it was a 24 to 36 month time period to complete the project. So I don't think we would need to have all the funds up front. We would just have to have designated funds.
I was just wondering about that. Like if we were awarded 20% match on 200,000, then you know that's what 40,000 bucks you'd have to set
Oh,
aside.
but we're not talking anything like that, not for this one.
Okay.
It's literally some planters, some striping,
Yes.
some signage. I don't know what that
Very
number is,
minimal.
but it's unclear, it's not like that at all.
One of them.
And we would have that number before you apply,
Right.
right? We're trying to do the legwork, that's what we are doing. We're doing the legwork so you have the information. It's credible, and you can make a decision.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 1A traditional quick build, if just using, because that's the page that's open. And it's, you know, I mean, it's minimal. It's striping and it's some planters, and that's without marketplace cooperation.
I think Sean is going to be a big piece of this. So if
And then there are
has
some,
anyone,
and
has
then
anyone
there's
reached out
one
to him
with
yet?
as well. And that changes his side of the street.
Yeah.
We had that conversation today, and after everyone was supportive of it, we all took tasks. That was my task.
Okay.
It looks like
Can that also
Susie has her
include like
hand
the
raised.
flashing crosswalk signs? In that grant?
It might, but I haven't gone in deep enough to even know that yet.
It could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it could. What's there is what's there. We could add or detract or change or whatever. You know, that's my understanding, not an opinion, it's my understanding.
Susie.
Susie, do you have something?
I just wanted to clarify, because we keep bringing Sean up, that the options, there's a couple that require Sean's involvement, and then there's a couple that wouldn't. So that's still wide open. A couple that would affect his egress and ingress, and a couple that would not. So I just wanted to clarify that point. It sounded kind of like conversation. People weren't really getting that point.
Thank you. Okay. Is that it for this? Yeah, we'll get you on for next meeting. Look forward to some more information on that, for sure.
Thanks.
All right, up next, daycare business request.
Rhonda is planning on being here. I spoke to her at the end of the day today. Again, we're super ahead of schedule,
We're
so
really knocking it out.
we might have to jump around a little bit and hang out.
Yeah, I guess.
What a night that I didn't get the cookies made. Jeez, I could have had cookies.
You don't have like a way to email her or anything.
I'm sorry,
You
what?
don't have a way to like email them or
I don't have
Gary?
Rhonda's contact
Oh, actually, I
information.
think I got Dan's number. I'll shoot him a text.
Maybe Susie has it.
Susie up there might be able to get her.
Nope, Ellen's
Ellen's
got
got her
something.
hand up.
Ellen?
Just to clarify, all of the information that Greta is getting us, we won't know next Monday. So it would need to be the one after that. If you guys are meeting every week this month, we would need the next one.
So
The 24th, not the 17th.
There's no.
yeah, next week is just budget. So our normal meetings are still the second and fourth Tuesday. We have special meetings every
Okay.
I guess every week for budgeting. So
Susie might have a contact.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what she
just
said.
will try to get a hold of her.
Get hold
Should be great.
Susie is now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read through John's manager's report?
Sure.
While we wait? Or,
Jim's got
What's on
something.
the rest of the agenda?
Manager's report, and then we got some executive.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, if you want to read the manager's
okay,
report.
I'll read the manager's report. The first item was letter of support sent for transparency. I wanted to make the board aware I was contacted over the past couple of weeks by Elizabeth Nance of FCIDC and by Heather Moore to write letters of support from the village on 2 different grant applications. They're submitting copies. Sorry, so make sure nobody was added. Copies are attached. Both were for the capital investment grant program. The FCIDC's application was for the redevelopment of the Pearly Block, and Heather's request was for support toward the proposed new daycare facility that Rhonda McAllister will be speaking to you guys about in a little bit. Given the quick turnaround needed in both applications, when I was asked for the letter, there was no time to make a formal request to the board. Hopefully you were okay with my having submitted the requested letters. If not, I'm open to any feedback. Both letters are in your packet.
Excellent.
Yes, I thought they were both very
Did a
well written.
very, very good job.
Yes, John did a fantastic job on these letters of support. If you do have any questions or concerns, I would just shoot John an email at this point in time. Next item up, NRPC seeking regional water council seats. See the attached correspondence from Dean Pierce regarding the basin water quality councils. If a board member is interested, now's the time to speak up and say so. Request from Wild and Scenic River Committee. See the attached request from Lindsay White, Executive Director of the Upper Missisquoi and Trout Rivers Wild and Scenic Committee. And do you want this to be listed as the annual report? Which, if you do want more information after reading her email, let me know, because I'll be doing the annual report.
So excited.
Annual meeting location. Thoughts? Unless something legally changes between now and then, a physical meeting will take place. I assume a hybrid option is requested by the board, but have you thought about a location for the meeting? A request to be made soon for whatever proposed site. I did happen to take a look at the select board agenda for last night, and I haven't followed up on it yet, but there was a note on there that the school was not an option
Really?
for this year.
She made that very clear.
Does
Heather's
anyone
got
know
her
what
hand
that
up,
is?
so she might.
Yeah, I
elaborate.
just, there's 2 things. Yeah, the school's not gonna be an option, and 2, it might be out of our decision because the state legislator's working on this. I've heard that the bill is waiting for the governor to sign. It might be a virtual town meeting or a postponed or we might be able to make a decision on that. But I think we should probably wait until next week to talk about it, maybe just because of the legislation.
I've heard that as well.
Everything's changing so rapidly.
Yes,
Well, we for sure can't meet here. I guess the only other
Right.
option would be emergency services,
right.
if that's why we're firefighters.
But yeah, they are looking at changing so that meetings can be 100% virtual without a physical location. And I don't know if that's going to be like exactly how strong the language is and stuff like that. But I think that, like I said, some of the decision is going to be out of our control.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to wait for that.
Because were you first Tuesday in March, or when does?
It's the second
Or the
Tuesday.
second
Yeah.
Tuesday?
Town meeting
It's
is the
the-
first Tuesday
Yeah,
during the
it's
day.
the
That's
Tuesday
right.
after normal town meeting.
Okay. So that's all that was on the manager's report.
Okay, back to the Wild and Scenic Committee's request. Do we want to put that in the agenda or in the annual report?
I think so.
I'm not opposed to it.
No, I'm not opposed to it either.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know if it's redundant having it in the town report and the village report.
I think I just want to give a recap of what they're up to.
And they might miss it in one set and the other.
I guess it's already, I just,
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay, so I will make sure that gets added into the annual report.
We'll throw that in. All right, we are just blazing through this agenda here. We're almost,
I'm sorry, are you agreeing to put it in the village report?
yes.
yeah, by the sounds.
We're all feeling really formal at the
I
moment.
was gonna offer to fill in the time.
Yeah, what do you got?
Just got a text message from somebody.
Cut it
so-
out? Night,
I
Dan.
think it might be Rhonda.
Good
I
night,
know,
everybody.
I'll-
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Because I believe the last email that I saw that John had sent to Dan Cunningham regarding the banners, item number 7 wasn't to be here until 7:50.
Yeah, I think the 45 minutes allowed for the budget discussion was a little heavy.
Especially
Water and
these two.
wastewater. Yep, everything's good.
These chairs are
Sam,
quite comfy.
Yes.
Are you crazy? You can take them home.
so the text I got was from Rhonda, and she is sick and cannot come.
Okay.
She can't sign in.
Okay. I will just give Dan a call real quick and
Okay.
we'll see if he's able to make it into. I think he's gonna try to come in.
Usually joins in by phone, living room.
Yeah, he does. Boy, I guess let's talk about some other business if anybody has any. What do you got, Leonard?
Nope.
Nothing?
You weren't able to reach Dan?
Went straight to voicemail.
Oh,
I gave him a text too, but. Eli, you got any other business?
Hey, Stan, I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the request from Rhonda, is it anything to do with sewer and water? Because we haven't seen anything on the wastewater or the water of any requests for additional allocation. Is something to do with that? I'm just questioning. I'm just didn't know. We hadn't heard about this before. This is the first I've heard about it.
I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for her, but I don't think there's going to be anything water, wastewater regarded that needs immediate attention tonight.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, this is the first I've heard of it.
So is that like the same childcare center they're talking about it?
So right now, Rhonda.
Now, I can try a little bit, and I don't want to like speak too much on Rhonda's behalf because I don't know exactly her agenda. But I do know, we have a childcare crisis in our community, and we as a board, we've been made aware of it, and that's part of why we're supporting. Okay, looks like she will be calling in. Thanks, Susie. So yeah, I guess I'll let her. But it's definitely we need a lot of community support and conversation about addressing childcare needs. But I'll let her speak since she's going to be calling in.
She's looking to expand in a different location.
she's leaving where she is.
Yep, she's gonna be moving out of, right now she's next to Family Dollar.
Right.
I believe she's looking at a location in the industrial park and to expand
Yeah.
and is looking for support.
The industrial parks, town or village?
It's still the village limits, isn't
I
it?
believe it's Village.
What is it, a town project? Like, I thought there was something semi-oaky, like.
Yeah, no, it's the Franklin. Isn't it owned by the Franklin County Industrial
I
Development
believe so,
Corporation?
yes.
IBC or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, it's actually the dairy. Oh my gosh, my brain's
Like
going.
DFA? Dairy Farmers
The
America?
DFA.
Like the people who own McDermott's?
Well, they own some of it and.
Yeah, they
Right,
bought
have
a
a
lot.
couple
And the
lots up
co-op.
there.
And, yeah, the
They
co-op
also own
does.
the co-op.
And then there's
Yeah,
the
it's
piece
DFA.
that there is a purchase and sales agreement on.
You're right, I heard about that too.
That's a piece of the industrial park as well. So when that happens, I think then EFEDC will own none of the industrial park.
It'll be
Right.
So she would actually, I would presume, be getting her land from the new
okay.
landowner. I don't know when that's supposed to happen.
So, yes. There wouldn't, seems like there would be allotments if there's gonna be a new building put up.
They would have, eventually have to
Right, I think
look
that's what
into
Gary
that.
was asking.
Yeah, I don't think they're there yet.
Right, they're
I think
not there
pretty
yet.
far down the
But when
line
they
right
get there,
now.
the little duffers use tornado.
Oh boy. Hopefully,
You think a hair's a
hopefully
lot
they do.
bad.
There's always that chance. Right?
Better her than us.
So what's going to come about with the building next to Family Dollar?
Family Dollar is, I guess, talking to
Expanding, perhaps?
expanding and to
Yeah.
take over.
Expanding.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, they'll have even more marvelous merchandise than they have now. No, we don't carry that. Nope,
Multi-
we don't have any. Nope, we don't
multi-family
carry
dwelling.
that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times I go in there looking for something specific and they never.
I kind of charted it. 90% of the time that I go in and ask for something specific, they do not carry it.
Last time I went in there was for something very specific and they had it. The stupid stick-on vinyl floor tiles.
Oh, yep.
They were like the only ones in
Yep.
town that had those.
That is oddly specific. What's new at the Opera House?
We're waiting. While you're waiting, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hello?
I think that's a yes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There's a lag, Susie.
Just a curiosity around your plans on a search process for Jonathan's replacement. Are you going to try to get a committee together? What's the deal with that?
I think those are still details that we need to nail down. We'll be having a discussion about that later.
Okay.
But yes, if I had to guess, I would say there would be a search committee, hiring committee kind of deal.
There was the last time.
There typically is, yeah.
Is there currently an economic development piece of that job description? There was at one point, and then I heard it might be out.
Well, there was one, and that got struck when the director of economic development or whatever Sean's
Right.
title was. When that position became solid, we had to strike that from the manager's duties. Yeah, because it's what do they call it? Overlapping duties or whatever. So.
Right now, with that position being empty as well, hopefully you guys will figure out who's going to carry it so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
What is, have you heard anything from the town regarding that position?
Talked to them last night and I got kind of a conflicting answer, but I asked, is the zoning absorbing that? And she said, there's an interest in it from zoning, but not sure that that's the direction they're going to go. And they didn't have a quorum, so they couldn't be real specific. But they also said they were going to be opening that position announcement shortly. So what that position is going to look like is going to be interesting because I'm not sure what they're going to put for parameters or time on this new position.
Right, because that was a full time, correct?
It was, and it wouldn't surprise me if they went with a lower amount and narrowed the scope or stuck with what it is. I mean, I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Right. But I guess to answer your question, I think the job description for a village manager probably stay the same for right now, but it will also review it. Because I think last time it was, well, besides the last update a couple years ago, it was, I think 2004 is when it was updated.
So I have something for other business.
Go ahead.
And this is something I just want to say out loud to other people so we can think in the future about it, I think, more. We've talked about signage in the village a number of times, and I wonder about signage for truck traffic. Today I watched somebody go from Main Street down Pleasant in Depot back up to Orchard. And I was like, they must be pretty lost because why would that giant truck kind of circle that block? That seemed really silly. And you know, they must not have been happy about it. So either they were lost getting out of town or the village, or they were lost getting to the cheese factory. They were lost getting somewhere, clearly. So just kind of throwing it out there as a wonder for some time in the future, as we're talking about signs here and there about directing trucks through the village.
Yeah, they must have been looking for Franklin Foods.
I got a question about truck traffic. At some point, wasn't there discussion about connecting cheese plant to JView Drive?
Yes,
Yes. Lots of times.
conversation died pretty quickly.
Well, it may have died, but wasn't one of the things in that new ARPA money or Build Back Better, like new roads and infrastructure?
That's what John said.
Pomelo. Right, but I know that's a privately owned road now. But I don't know if that would.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
like-
the cheese plant said no, because it basically take away their parking lot.
The no did come from them.
It's not Pomelo that backed out of that?
I thought it was the cheese plant.
I don't know, I just knew there had been discussion. about
I
it.
wonder if it's worth looking at if it's an allowable project and then revisiting that conversation.
I think
I don't
there's
think it
more
would
than
be
one
that
property.
bad.
I think there's more than one property owner between Franklin Foods and Pomelo. I think there's still another landowner in between. I think that's part of the problem too in wetlands.
Ellen?
I am having a flashback of in the middle of the graduation parade, the pandemic graduation parade, Brent Guerra, my neighbor, and I were directing a random truck driver who had no idea how to get to Franklin Foods. And the thing that maybe pops into my mind is, you know, like how like coming into town, there's a sign for Champlain Chevy, like a state sign with the black with the white lettering that says like Champlain Chevrolet right on, you know, like the business signs.
Buy those from the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense really that they don't have something. It is a lot because I definitely have noticed people who have no idea how to what Franklin Foods is because it's in a very residential area for big trucks.
I'm surprised that most trucks have GPS, and I think a lot of the problem is that left-hand turn onto Pleasant they can't make, so they try to make a different route. I think that's a lot of
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah, I've
But-
seen a lot of them drive by and stop and back up and because they've lost it.
And this guy seemed very gun shy worried about getting a fine or something from driving in a residential area. Because he had parked at DFA and he was running his physical body. He was running down the street to see if he was in the right place because he was worried. He said, I didn't want to drive somewhere and get a fine because I wasn't supposed to be there or something. So, because it really doesn't appear to be anywhere that they would want to go.
Right.
And I would echo what Gary said, that I think it's a wetland situation between JView Drive and the cheese plant, but as an adjoining landowner, I know that the cheese plant has a whole lot of upheaval plans going for a digester or some such. So I can't imagine that they wouldn't already be changing their parking situation to accommodate whatever they're building. So it might be worth revisiting or bringing up again, because if they're remodeling, because they have all the permits to do something different with their lot, because
That digester won't, Ellen, that digester won't affect the parking lot. It's over on the back side.
Okay. I figured if they were redesigning, they could do it better, but okay. Yes.
No, I agree. A road connecting JView Drive and Franklin Foods would be good, not only for truck traffic, but also for pedestrians headed to the rec field or anywhere else if there was a sidewalk.
It's
But
that corner right in front of my house.
site,
It's terrible. When they drive up and back up 2-3 times to make it.
evening?
So just
There.
Susie has Rhonda on the phone, and
Looking at
when
this,
you guys are ready for, looks like she's gonna hold her phone up and.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's try it. I don't know how this is gonna work.
Evening, Rhonda.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me. I'd like to be there, but I don't think you want me there. I'm a little stuffy and congested, so this is gonna work out great. I'm not sure how much you can hear or not.
First,
We can hear you.
It's good.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make it quick because I know it's cold and everybody wants to get home. I'm basically asking the village for 5% of what the cost of this building is going to be. I'm quite sure you're well aware that we do have to close and leave our building. So we're trying to, well, we are going to build another one. So I have 70% of our kiddos are from Enosburg. And I got in touch with the governor's office before, you know, I started putting in grants because I'm gonna have to close if I don't get any help, financial help. So they told me to reach out to the surrounding communities and ask for some ARPA grants. So, I mean, we would be happy with anything. I'm just saying 5%. I don't care really what it is, but I, you know, on behalf of the families, they would, you know, it would be well appreciated.
Is your business a nonprofit or for-profit?
No, it's not nonprofit, it's profit. I'm gonna have to be putting probably 350,000. I'm willing to pay the half, but I don't have to build this building. I can go back onto the Marvin Road at my second home and have a daycare there. I have a job, but if we don't build something for the community, we're gonna have our families in a lot of trouble. They are already. We really need 2 more besides the daycare that I have. If I shut down, it's gonna be almost 40 families without daycare. So that means 40 people without a job. And it's a snowball. If we don't have 2 working parents in each family working nowadays, you know, they can't make ends meet. So, and with that, then we have, you know, families arguing, not getting along. Then we have children not doing well in school, not eating right. It definitely is a snowball effect. So we as a community need to come up with something. It isn't nonprofit. And I know people are probably saying, well, why is she coming to the town and asking us for money? At my age, I wasn't really thinking about building something like this. I'm excited. I'm interested. I want to see the kids here in this community have something to where when I'm done, there's always going to be a place for these kids and they don't have to worry about being evicted from their spot. I'm also adding another whole room, a toddler room, another 15 kids. The state will only allow me up to 59 kids, so that will put me at 59. So with that, I would have to have 2 more teachers and 15 more kids will, you know, that will help that many more families out. So we're, as a community, we're in a pickle and we need to figure out, and if somebody has a better plan, I'm willing to hear that plan. There may be a better plan than what I have, but as of right now, I'm feeling like I'm kind of taking this on myself and I can't. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I understand the severity of the situation, and I think it's a great idea having, you know, an expanded daycare up there. But my initial reaction is I'm pretty hesitant on giving any answers to funding requests right now. I think we're gonna have to look into those ARPA funds a little more, especially if a municipality is going to be giving money to a for-profit business.
Right.
I think we're gonna need to dive into it a little more.
That's my hand, not Rhonda's hand.
What's up?
I'm just thinking about when I was sitting where you guys were and the cheese plant needed some help. I'm presuming the cheese plant is a for-profit business. And we made some agreements with them about some of the fees and whatnot around wastewater. because we wanted to keep them here because of how many they employed and what they did for our community. And as she was speaking, I was immediately, you know, my throat was like, ooh, that's going to be a hard starter right there. And then I started thinking about the cheese plant and what the trustees did at that time to keep that business here because of the people it employed and for the betterment of the community. We didn't want to lose them. And there's probably been other agreements along the way. I know you're not going to make any decision tonight, but I would suggest thinking around those types of terms like we have with other big employers. Just a thought, something to throw out there.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you can see my hand.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. One thing that oh God, I just had let's see, what was I saying? I'm really not thinking straight tonight. Give me 1 second. What was I gonna say? Oh, I know what I was gonna say. With this, you know, with the grant money that I am getting, as you all know, daycare is so expensive right now for parents. And with me building a new building and as large as this is, I do not want to raise their rates. They just don't have it. It's a struggle right now. So that's why I need help. I don't know if it would help if I said, you know, if I signed something that, you know, their rates wouldn't go up for 4 or 5 years, or, you know, I need help to help the community, you know. And again, with my staff, I have a great staff, but I need to keep them happy, and I need to make their wages to where they can live. And with a new building, I can't afford to keep, you know, paying them more money when I'm going to have this huge overhead. And I have to pay them what they're worth.
Rona, do you have a time frame of if you were successful in getting funds, of when you think you would start, I guess, building or completion?
We have to be out of our place September, October. My plan is to be in there by November 1st.
Of 2022?
Yes. I've already been approved for a bank loan. So we're, you know, and I have a purchase and sales agreement right now with the land. We've got you know, I need to come up with the rest of the money. There, you know, I do have a large grant that I've, you know, applied for, hoping to find out by the end of the month. I'm quite sure I will. So that's going to be a big help. If I do, I think I'm going to get something, but not what I requested. So I really don't have much information on that as of yet.
Sounds like you need some answers pretty soon.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like you need some answers pretty soon then.
Well, I wasn't expecting an answer tonight. I mean, that's obvious, but I was hoping within the next couple of months I could hear something.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We'll see what we can do, and we'll see what ARPA has to offer. Like I said, I can't really give you an answer tonight, but we'll definitely look into it. It's budget season right now, and it's busy, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And if you have any other questions or anything, feel free to reach out, and I'm willing to add any more input that you need.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Susie.
Well, that worked well.
It worked better than I was expecting it to work.
All right, you guys Malaysian?
Yes, yes, we are.
Approve no Dan tonight? No Dan tonight?
No, he's sick. He's down for the count.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm here, my name is Bob Dilworm, and I'm here with the pretense of being the next commander at the Legion. So I'll be dealing with a number of these issues in the future. This issue being one of many, but and that's why I'm here. Gary is the spearhead of this effort, and so I'd like to turn it over to him, and he can tell you a lot more about it. And he's done a lot of the research and got in touch with a number of people and communities that are municipalities that are actually supporting this type of program. So we were in hopes of addressing it with you, and I don't think we're looking for any money from the village. It's something that we're gonna support on our own, but we do need a green light to move forward, as with anything else in the village, and we're not naive to that, so that's why we're here, to discuss that with you folks.
All right.
Especially you, Eli, because I know you're a troublemaker.
I try.
I picked up a few of the newsletters we put out every other month. If anybody wants to read
I
it.
do send them to the entire Enosburg initiative group every time I get one from Richard.
Having something in your hand sometimes is a little better. What we're down here asking you for tonight,
No.
what we're asking tonight is to use those 9 poles on Depot Street for a banner program. There's 9 poles starting from, not on Main Street, the next one in from Main, and then all the way down to the corner across from Bates, the corner of Depot and Pleasant Street. We'd like to put 9 banners up. If you come in from Main Street, there'll be 9 banners with 9 different veterans. And then if you turned around and came back the other way, there'd be 9 others on the other side. So that would make 18. We're coming up with, we have some more talking to do, but we'd like to open up a percentage of those 18 to EMTs, firemen, medical. And I'm sure there's some other categories we haven't even thought of yet. So it wouldn't be all veterans that we didn't want to. Somebody the other day, it's not even out, we're just talking at the executive committee meeting level, but the information squeaked out a little bit, and one gentleman wants to put his father and his grandfather up. His grandfather was in, I'm not even sure which war, and his father was in another war, and they want to be back to back.
It would be something like similar to where those were.
Correct.
Yep, using the same things. I think those are probably 2 foot wide by 4 foot high. John Johnson has agreed to make them for us. And this is an example of
We
one
like
of them.
show and tell.
Yeah.
Show and tell, there you go.
This is Cliff Forrest.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And he's just gonna make what you see right here. They're impregnated with nylon thread. And he said that they will not fade, and I
What
think.
about wind?
Well, let me get to that one. What we're gonna be doing is sewing this one back to back with another one.
Can you turn it just slightly so we can get the camera?
So
for the
it's
recording?
very heavy material, just feel the material. It's ripstop nylon, more or less, I guess. So it's pretty rugged as far as, endurance and durability.
So it would be
I'm not
two
sure.
two
No.
separate banners,
It's the
just
camera.
turned
It's
back
the
to back.
camera.
Yeah, show it to the hour.
There we go. All right, here's a
I
close-up.
saw it.
Here's a close-up.
I saw it.
So it would be 2 separate banners, just back to back.
Yep,
So it'll look like one banner.
So they give you
On
an
the same
18.
folder.
18 in all.
Right.
And I know that there's 4 of those things that you just showed me. There's 4 of those
Double
brackets.
bracket, yeah.
But we would go out and buy our own. I was hoping I could catch up with whoever purchased the ones here for the village.
Gary Denton, I
Yeah,
believe.
Gary's still on.
Gary's
Is that
still
it?
on.
Yeah.
Gary, do we have any extra hangers?
No, that's not what we're after. We'll buy them, no problem there. It's just that if you've already bought them, you know what the trash ones are and you know what the good ones are. And that's what I was hoping to get some advice on. No, we're not looking for any.
He has
Anybody.
muted himself, so
Yeah, we may have extras though.
Yeah, we might have some we're not using. Now, will these be rotated?
We don't have any extras, Sam.
Okay. There's 4
We don't
already.
have any extras, Sam.
Okay.
There's
but
4
you know what
already.
ones to get, right?
There's already
I
4.
know where Downtown Graphics out of, I think they're out of New Jersey or Pennsylvania, we buy ours from. They're about they were about $108 a bracket.
180.
That was a couple of years ago.
I bet I know a guy that can make them cheaper.
I was just thinking, I bet we got people that could make them.
We're looking at $40 a bracket.
Brown, the blacksmith over on North Enosburg Hill Road there. And he's a blacksmith. He probably can make them for us a lot cheaper than that.
No, we're looking at $40 a bracket, and there's two towns. There's one out just south of Buffalo and another one down toward Fairhaven that are using them, and they are happy with those. And so I was thinking I'd just go with their advice. I'm trying to think of other details. You asked how long they would be
Oh
up.
yeah, I wondered if you were gonna, now, looking, not that I wouldn't want Mr. Vorst to stay up for a long time there, but, I just wondered if you were gonna, rotate the people that, you were putting the
We
banners
are.
up for.
I'm hoping we would
Which
have.
I think is wonderful.
I'm hoping we would have people waiting. We're thinking of 1 year. The other towns put them up the 1st of May and take them down Veterans Day. But that's a pretty desolate street in the middle of the winter. You go down that street today.
It was pretty sad.
This is gonna have some color. We're thinking it would juice the street up a little bit.
So year round.
Is there,
And the families will be fronting an initial sum up front, which would cover the cost of the banner, the manufacturing of the banner and the brackets. And if there's a cost incurred for the installation of the brackets, so on and so on. I'm not sure that the villages probably wanted to put their brackets up on their poles
That's what I was
themselves.
I
gonna
think
ask
the
if
electric
there's-
department is gonna have to hang those, yeah.
right, I was gonna say, if there's some sort of liability issue with somebody
Curious
else.
guys.
I'll get my,
Yeah, Gary can answer that.
Yeah,
You may want to have an electric department make sure, because there's certain section of the pole belongs to Comcast, and there's certain areas, so you may want to get with the power company and make sure location-wise, they're all right where the banners are. They're not interfering with Comcast repairs and all that kind of stuff. And they may have to put them up depending what the heights are. What's the height? Same height as what our other banners are? Is that what they were talking about?
That's one thing. I was gonna ask some questions when I do talk to the utility. If we put them on the sidewalk side, we might be able to put them a little lower and be a little bit more visible to people at least walking. If we put
Yeah, you
them
may want
that
to check
low.
with the power company. I'm not sure. There's a whole liability of who owns part of the pole, like Comcast and Consolidated and us. They have certain parts of the pole that belong to them. So they may have to talk to Dave Wescombe on location.
Yeah, I was in the business. Comcast doesn't own anything, they just lease 12 inches. If telephone and power are on those poles, they each own it half and half. And they
Right.
each have a certain.
Right.
So,
Gary, do you know, would it be something the power company would have to put up for liability issues? Or is it something the region themselves?
I would
I
think
don't-
so, depending where they are, like if they're close to power lines, I'd want the power company up there with a
Oh,
bucket
yeah.
truck, yeah. I mean, if they're down like the heights of the Reese where they're not gonna be anywhere in the power line, I don't think that's a big deal, but I'd check with David. I'm not really sure of that.
Yeah, we had that intention, yeah. And then somebody asked, after that year, they would go back to the families. We'd give it to the families.
Nice.
And then we have an idea, if we can raise just a hair more each time, we would have a little bit of a kitty so that if one does get ripped or something, we would give the family a brand new one when it came down. And then there might be a family or two that doesn't have the money to do this. And so we would maybe do a few for free.
I only asked you the question about wind because one of the communities that I've been in, and I don't even remember which one it is now, that purchased new banners similar to the banners that we have on Main Street. And the banners had and I think it was a very particular pattern, very small holes in the deliberate holes that allowed the wind to go sailing through the banner rather than tearing it apart. And it might allow your banners to last longer.
The two towns that I'm talking to have not had a problem. They ended up getting the attachments on the poles that had a spring. So it's being
So there's a
kept
little bit
tight
of
all the
give,
time. And then two of them that I saw had nothing on the ends. And I would think if I got these, I would put something on the end so they just can't slip off.
Yeah,
But
like a finial.
that's all just mechanics. I guess initially, we just need your okay to pursue this. I think there's gonna be a couple of things we haven't even thought about. We might have to come back, and if you find something or I find something, we might have to do that. But I guess if you said yes tonight, then we would start shopping for the attachments and put the word out that we can now do it and start getting people.
That is, if we can get the power company to put the brackets up for us.
Right, there's a couple variables I think we're gonna be waiting on. But what do you guys think, initially?
I think they're wonderful.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think it's wonderful.
I worry about if it's stupid, but if there's some sort of precedent that's set, like, well, you helped them hang up these things, you gotta help us do something, you know what I mean? If I'm wording that properly, like, personally, I don't care, but.
Well, the last thing we want to do is be on Main Street because it's too beautiful during the holidays, summers and all that. We're thinking if it does expand at all, maybe it would go up Pleasant Street, but that's like another trip in here and hopefully years from now. If we do 18, I got a feeling we can keep up with any demand that might come along.
Another small community that participates in the same type of program with these very banners is Altoona, New York. If anybody smokes, I go over to the reservation to get cigarettes for my wife. And during the summer months, they display these. During the winter months, they put up their Christmas decorations or what have you. And so our intent was to go, Gary, you may have already said it, and forgive me if I'm stepping on your toes here, don't mean to much. The 12 months is the period of time we had in mind for each banner. So like Clifton here would be up for 12 months, and whoever was on the backside. And that's assuming that they go up at the same time. And then in 12 months, we'll replace them with a new face.
Another consideration is somebody said, well, how about putting them up for 6 months at a time, and we would still have, we would have them up, you know, have one group up for 6 months and then change it to the second 6 month period. I've climbed those poles out there, and I've been in the business, and I don't think we need to ask, you know, your power people to do this 4 times a year. That's asking too much.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I guess initially you have the board's support. I don't want to make a motion yet because we still need to check with Dave and see if everything's going to be good on that end.
And I would work with the power company. I don't even know who's in charge of it now.
Dave Westbrook.
Oh, all right, okay.
Larry's quieter brother.
But yeah, we would definitely need to check with him.
Okay.
And then like Gary said, pole easements and stuff like that. If any of that's gonna be an issue, and then obviously you'd have to get the brackets and hang them up too, but.
Can I go to him, or do you want me to come back here? If you just give him the marching orders, I can do anything he wants me to do.
Well, yeah, I guess we can check with him. If you have any questions, you can ask him directly, but we'll check with him, and then we may need to bring it up next meeting just to get a formal motion.
Okay.
That I don't think you guys would need to be here unless we had any other questions.
We're thinking sometime in the spring to start this.
Yep.
And so it would be in the spring that new ones would go up and the old ones would come down.
You probably would hope they'd be up by Memorial Day, I would think.
I hope.
If I had to guess, I would say that it'd probably correspond with the regular banner hanging, which takes place in May-ish.
If you insist, we could put a trustee up once in a while.
Sold.
I've done it.
Well, in that case.
It's all about recognizing the folks in our community, homegrown,
These are hometown heroes.
that have done things for us, whether that
For all of
be
us.
a veteran or a medical person like Gary said, or
I love the idea.
a utility worker. It doesn't matter.
Well, the other-
People that a family feels is significant enough in their lives that they'll want to sponsor one of these.
There's another point maybe I should make too.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm thinking, there's a commercial outfit, actually more than one, but there's one main one, called Hometown Heroes. That's the name of their corporation. And they come in and put a deal together with a village. And they do all the work, basically doing what we do. and it's like $500, and gets expensive. And so we're not using the term hometown heroes.
Them kind of.
Probably trademarked anyway.
Yeah, and I think the quality is better than the ones I've seen they put
Yeah.
up, so.
Any idea what it's gonna cost someone to sponsor one of those?
We're thinking something in the $200 range. We've already got a nice quote from John Johnson, and we'll find out what we gotta do with the hangers and so forth.
Pleased to see that you started right out by shopping at home.
Yeah.
Keep your money local.
Yep.
Hey, my neighbor, I need to keep him. Any other questions? We'll get out of your hair.
No, I think that'll do it.
No,
And we'll,
thank
yeah,
you.
we'll get back to you for sure.
Okay.
Sounds
thank
like
you.
a really
Thank
good
you very
project.
Appreciate
I think
your
you
time.
definitely had all of us smiling. Yeah, it's a lovely idea.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming
Thanks,
in.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right, I think that concludes all of our agenda items. If there's no other questions or other business, I will hear a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations in which premature public knowledge may compromise the position of the municipality.
So moved.
Eli with the
Seconded.
first, Sandy with the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, Ellen had her hand up.
No, I was just saying good night.
Oh, okay.
Rita.